I discovered my daughter had removed my surname and adopted her stepfather's. I didn't say a word. I simply stopped covering all the expenses. I was sitting in the notary's office when she presented me with a document. There, in black and white, was my daughter's new name, Mariana Costa Ferreira. My surname, Rodriguez, had been erased. In its place was the surname of my former brother-in-law, Roberto, who had married my ex-wife 2 years after our divorce. I felt a sickening lurch in my stomach. The notary looked at me with that expression of pity mixed with awkwardness. "You're the biological father, correct?" she asked softly. I merely nodded, confirming it was indeed me, collected the document copy I'd come for regarding my mother's inheritance, and walked out without a word. It was 4:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. I remember precisely because I had just come from an important meeting at the bank where I work as a client relationship manager. I sat in my black Corolla in the parking lot of the municipal building for about 20 minutes, just staring at that paper. My daughter was 19. 19 years I had raised her, provided for her, loved her with every fiber of my being, and she had erased my name from her life as if I were a failed draft. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I didn't go to her mother's to create a scene. I simply put that document away in the drawer of my home office, locked it, and carried on. But something within me shifted in that very moment. Something clicked. If you've experienced something similar, please share your city in the comments below. I read every single one and reply when I can. And if you enjoy stories about people who have been humiliated but managed to wait for the right moment to strike back, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. This isn't about revenge, it's about dignity. It's about a father who learned in the hardest way possible that love can't be bought, but respect must be earned. My name is Fernando Rodriguez. I'm 52 years old and I live in Campinas, in the interior of São Paulo state. I've worked at Santander for 28 years and became a regional manager about 5 years ago. I earn well, I won't lie. My fixed salary is 17,000 reais, plus commissions that range from 5 to 8,000, depending on the month. I own a fully paid-off apartment in Cambuí, a good neighborhood in our city. I drive a 2022 Corolla and live comfortably. I'm not wealthy, but I've never wanted for anything, and I've always been able to provide comfort for my family. I married Patricia when I was 26 and she was 23. We met at a mutual friend's graduation party in 1998. She was beautiful, outgoing, full of plans. She worked as an administrative assistant at an accounting firm and was studying pedagogy in the evenings at university. I was just starting to stabilize my career at the bank, having just secured a permanent position after 2 years as an intern. We fell in love quickly, a whirlwind romance that lasted 8 months, and we got married at City Hall with only immediate family present, in a simple ceremony at a notary's office in downtown Campinas. The reception was held in a rented hall near Taquaral Lake. Nothing grand, about 80 guests. I spent about 12,000 reais on everything back then, which was a significant amount of money for me at the time. At first, things were good. We lived in a rented 2-bedroom apartment in Jardim Manbara. She continued to work and study. I took on freelance financial consulting work on weekends to supplement our income. We had plans: save money, buy our own home, have children, build a solid life. And for a while, it seemed like everything was falling into place. In 2001, she graduated from the pedagogy program. We had a small celebration at home, invited friends, made barbecue. I remember her standing there with her diploma in hand, that smile I loved so much on her face. "Now we're going to raise our beloved," she said. "Now the good times will begin." And they did. In 2003, Mariana was born. It was a natural birth at the Beneficencia Portuguesa Hospital here in Campinas. I remember holding that tiny baby in my arms, 3,400 grams of pure perfection, dark eyes like mine, a tuft of black hair, a loud cry. "She's ours, Fernando," Patricia said from the bed, tired but happy. "Ours forever." I believed it with every cell in my body. Forever. What a joke, right? But at that moment, it was the truth. The purest truth I had ever felt. Mariana's early years were demanding. I worked a lot, leaving home at 7 in the morning and returning at 7 in the evening. Patricia got a job as a pedagogical coordinator at a private school in Taquaral. She was earning about 2,500 rays then. We shared the responsibilities. I bathed Mariana when I got home, put her to sleep, read her stories. On weekends, I stayed with her so Patricia could have some rest. I took her to the park, to the mall, to my mother's. My mother, Dona Celia, adored her granddaughter. "This girl will go far, Fernando," she would say. "You'll see, she has your blood, the blood of a hard worker, an honest person." In 2007, I was able to buy our first apartment. It was in the Bosque neighborhood. A new building, 3 bedrooms, 2 parking spaces, 80 square meters. I made a down payment of 120,000 reais, which I had saved for years, and financed the rest over 240 payments through Itaú. The payments were substantial, 2,800 reais a month, but I managed. We moved on a Saturday in July. I remember Mariana running around the empty apartment, shouting with joy. She was 4 years old. "Daddy, my room is bigger," she exclaimed. I laughed, scooped her up, and spun her around. "Yes, princess, all of this is ours, truly ours." But my relationship with Patricia had already begun to cool. It wasn't something sudden, like a leaky faucet. It was a drip, drip, drip every day. At first, you don't even notice, but when you stop and listen, you realize it's driving you crazy. She started complaining that I worked too much, that I didn't pay attention to her, that I only thought about money. "Mariana is growing up without you, Fernando," she would say. "You don't see it. You're missing everything." I tried to explain that I was working precisely to give them a better life, but it seemed she didn't understand, or perhaps didn't want to. By 2009, the arguments became more frequent. She started going out more with her friends, school parties, after-work gatherings, birthdays. There was always something. "I need to live too, Fernando," she'd say. "I can't just sit at home and wait for you to come back." I didn't see anything wrong with it. I even thought it was good that she had a social life. What I didn't know was who was in that social life of hers. Roberto Ferreira. He was the father of a student at the school where she worked, an entrepreneur, owner of a beverage distribution company in the Valinhos region. Divorced at 40, handsome, successful, the kind of man who made everything seem easy, you know? A broad smile, smooth talk, money in his pocket. I found out in the worst possible way on a Friday in November, 2010. I came home early because I had managed to finish all my appointments by 5 o'clock. It was about 5:30 when I opened the apartment door. Mariana was at my mother's, as she usually was on Fridays, and Patricia was in our bed with Roberto. I won't go into graphic detail because it's unnecessary, but I saw everything. She screamed. He scrambled to cover himself with the sheets. I just turned around and left. I went to Sue Joaquim's bar on the corner of the street where we lived and ordered a shot of Johnny Walker Red Label, then another and another. When I returned home, it was already dark. She was sitting on the living room sofa in a robe, her eyes red. "Fernando, I can explain," she began. I raised my hand. "No," I said. "I don't want explanations. I want a divorce." She cried, tried to approach me, but I stepped back. "Mariana," she said, "think about our daughter." I looked her straight in the eye. "It's precisely because of our daughter that I'm not making a scene, but you will leave this house, and I will fight for Mariana's custody." Except everything went wrong. She hired a good lawyer, a very good one, Dr. Enrique Sampaio, one of the most expensive in Campinas. I don't know how she paid, or rather I do know, Roberto paid, and that lawyer destroyed my defense. He portrayed Patricia as a devoted, caring, loving mother. He depicted me as a workaholic, absent father who only thought about his job and left his daughter with her grandmother. "How many hours a day do you work?" the lawyer asked during the hearing. 10 to 12 hours, I replied. "And how many hours a day do you spend with your daughter?" I swallowed. 2 to 3 hours. He smiled, knowing he had won. The judge granted custody to Patricia. I was given visitation rights every other weekend and 1 day a week, Wednesday. And the alimony was set at 30% of my net income, which at the time was about 3,500 reais per month. The apartment remained mine because it was registered in my name and I had bought it before the marriage really gained momentum in terms of assets. She moved out and rented an apartment in Taquaral. 2 months later, she and Roberto officially announced their relationship. Mariana was 7 years old when we separated. She didn't really understand what was happening. "Why don't you live with us anymore, Daddy?" she'd ask every time I picked her up. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't going to speak ill of her mother. I wasn't going to tell her the truth. I didn't want to involve a child in all of this, so I simply said, "Mom and Dad aren't together anymore, but that doesn't change how much I love you." "Fine." She'd nod, but I could see in her eyes that nothing was fine. Not at all. In the first few months, I picked her up every other weekend, as was my right. I took her to Portugal Park, to the Iguatemi Mall, to the movies. I bought her everything she asked for: dolls, clothes, sneakers. She liked the Pampali brand. Sneakers cost 150 to 180 Ries a pair. I bought them without hesitation. I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to feel that even after the divorce, I was still her father. I was still there. But Patricia started creating obstacles. There was always an excuse. "Oh, Fernando, it won't work out today. Mariana has a friend's birthday. She's not feeling well today, better come another time. She has a test on Monday, so she needs to study on the weekend." And Mariana began to change towards me, becoming more distant, more cold. I felt like someone was telling her things about me. "Daddy only works." "Yes, Mom," I overheard her say one day when I arrived to pick her up, not knowing I was already at the door. "He never had time for us." In 2012, Patricia married Roberto. It was a grand party in a luxurious banquet hall in Valinhos. Over 200 guests. I, of course, didn't go, but Mariana did and told me all about it with enthusiasm. "Daddy, there was an inflatable castle and a ball pit, and Uncle Roberto gave me a tablet." Uncle Roberto? That hurt more than I can explain, but I swallowed it, smiled. "How wonderful, Princess. Did you enjoy it?" "Very much," she said, her eyes shining. Life went on like that for years. I worked, paid alimony like clockwork, the 5th of every month, an automatic transfer to her account. I picked Mariana up when she allowed, trying to maintain some connection. Roberto bought a large house in the Villa Bella gated community near Sousa's. 5 bedrooms, a pool, a barbecue area, a ballroom. Mariana got a huge room, all decorated in a princess theme. "It's much bigger than my room at Daddy's," she remarked one day, not maliciously, but it struck a deep chord. I tried to compensate with gifts. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Children's Day. I spent a lot. When she turned 10 in 2013, I bought her a Samsung laptop, one of those cute pink ones that cost 2,400 Ries at the store. She liked it, but she made a remark. "Uncle Roberto said he'll buy me a MacBook when I turn 11. I forced a smile. "That's great, honey. You deserve it." Patricia transferred Mariana to an expensive private school, Colegio Rio Branco, one of the best in Campinas. The monthly tuition was 2,800 reais. She called me to tell me, "Fernando, I've transferred Mariana to Rio Branco. This school will open better doors for her future. I need you to pay half the tuition in addition to the alimony." I sighed deeply. "Patricia, the alimony already covers education. It's stipulated in the court order." "I know," she said, in that tone as if she had expected such an answer. "But I thought you wanted the best for your daughter. But if you don't, that's fine." Roberto said he would pay. It was a trap, and I knew it. If I didn't pay, I was the uncaring father. If I paid, I was a sucker. I paid 1,400 Ries a month, transferring it directly to the school's account. As Mariana grew, our meetings became less frequent. She had her own social life, parties, school trips, things with friends. "Dad, I can't this weekend. I'm going to Julia's." "Dad, I'm going with Mom and Uncle Roberto to Bahia." "Dad, I have volleyball practice." There was always something, and I always understood, always forgave, always put her first. When she turned 15 in 2018, she wanted a debutante ball, and not just any ball, but a spectacular one. She called me personally to tell me, Dad, Mom, and Uncle Roberto are throwing me a 15th birthday party at the Moi Nuana Hall. It will be beautiful. 300 guests, an imported dress, a waltz, everything. I felt a tightness in my chest. And how can I help, honey? There was a pause. Mom said that if you want to participate, you can pay for the banquet. It's 50,000 reais. 50,000 reais. That's almost my earnings for 3 full months. Let me see what I can do, I said. Okay, Dad, but Mom needs an answer by next week because the contract needs to be signed. I didn't have 50,000 reais saved. I had about 30,000 in a savings account that I had been building for a car replacement. The Corolla was already 6 years old and starting to act up. But I went to Santander, where I work, and requested a consumer loan for 30,000 reais at 3% per month, with payments of 2,800 reais over 18 months. I took it and paid for my daughter's party banquet. The party was on a Saturday in August 2018. It was beautiful, I won't lie. The Moi Nuana Hall is magnificent, all decorated, with a garden, lights, everything impeccable. Mariana was stunning in a Tiffany blue dress that, as Patricia let slip, cost 12,000 reais. There was a DJ, an open bar, exquisite sweets, various appetizers. I arrived early in a gray suit I had bought specifically for the occasion, 900 reais. Patricia greeted me with a fake smile. Thank you for your contribution, Fernando. Contribution. As if I were a casual guest, not the father of the birthday girl. Roberto stood beside her in a dark blue suit and tie, looking very important. He shook my hand a bit too firmly. How are you, Fernando? All good. The party is beautiful. I just nodded. Yes, beautiful. During the debutante's waltz, Mariana's first dance was with him. Yes, with Roberto. Only then did she dance with me, when it was my turn. I took her hand and we danced to the song I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. She smiled, but it was a polite smile, a smile of obligation. Thank you for paying for the banquet, Dad, she said. You're welcome, honey. Everything for you. She nodded but said nothing more. When the music ended, she ran off to hug her friends who were just arriving. I stayed at the party until about 11 o'clock at night. I had a few whiskeys at the bar, chatted with half a dozen distant relatives who still treated me normally, and left. No one noticed. No one cared. On the way home, I stopped at an Ipiranga gas station on Avenida Norte Sul. I bought a pack of Marlboro Red, something I hadn't done in years, and smoked 3 cigarettes sitting in my car in the empty parking lot. I cried. I cried like a child because I realized I had just paid 50,000 reais to be an extra at my own daughter's party. In the following years, it was the same. I paid for everything Patricia asked for. English courses at Wizard, 700 reais a month. Volleyball classes at the Campanera Club, 450. School supplies, uniforms, textbooks. When Mariana got into medical school at the university in Campinas in 2020, I cried with pride. She called me to tell me, Dad, I got in. I got into medical school. Congratulations, honey. I knew you could do it. She laughed. But Dad, the tuition is high, 8,500 a month. My stomach sank. I'll pay, honey, don't worry. And I started paying. 8,500 reais a month, transferred directly to the university's account. In addition to the alimony, which I was still paying even though Mariana was already 18, because Patricia had managed to get it extended through the court until the end of her studies, as she was in university. In total, I was spending about 12,000 reais a month just on Mariana, and my net income was 17,000. That left 5,000 for my own bills, apartment, food, car. I was living on the edge, but it was nothing. It was for my daughter. Except Mariana barely communicated with me. 1 message a week at best. Dad, everything okay? Yes, honey, and you? Yeah, it's crazy here, lots of exams and stuff. No shared lunches, no visits, nothing. I watched her life through Instagram. Photos at expensive restaurants, beach trips with friends, parties, gatherings, and always Mom and Roberto in the comments, full of love. And me? I was the one paying the bills. A living ATM. In 2022, I started dating again. I met Juliana through the Tinder app. She was 38 years old. She was a nutritionist, divorced, no children. We hit it off, started dating, went out for dinners, to the movies. She was affectionate, attentive, made me laugh. 6 months later, I introduced her to Mariana. I arranged lunch at the Italian restaurant Famiglia Mancini downtown. Mariana arrived half an hour late, looking glum. "Hi, honey, this is Juliana," I said, smiling. She shook Juliana's hand without making eye contact. "Hello?" Lunch was agonizing. Mariana was glued to her phone, responding to everything with monosyllables. She made it clear she didn't want to be there. When she finished, she stood up. "Dad, I have to go. I have an exam tomorrow. I haven't even finished eating." "But honey, bye, Dad." And she left. Juliana tried to comfort me. "She just needs time to get used to it." But I knew that wasn't it. Mariana simply didn't care. I was the father who paid for everything and whom she tolerated when absolutely necessary. A few months later, Juliana and I broke up. Not because of Mariana, but because I realized I was pouring all my emotional energy into a daughter who didn't want me around. It was destroying any chance I had of being happy in another relationship. In January 2025, my mother, Donna Celia, passed away. She was 81 years old, a sudden heart attack in her sleep. I was devastated. She was my best friend, my confidant, the only person who never judged me. Mariana came to the wake, stayed for about 15 minutes, gave me a quick hug, said, "My condolences, Dad," and left because she had classes. She didn't even stay for the funeral. Patricia and Roberto didn't show up at all. After my mother's death, the inheritance process began. She left a 2-bedroom apartment in Jardim das Pinheiras, completely debt-free, valued at around 400,000 reais. I was her only child, so everything was going to me. But documents were needed: certificates, attestations, statements. It was then that I needed to go to the notary's office to get an updated birth certificate for Mariana, so I could include her in the inventory as a direct heir, because in the event of my death, everything would go to her. And it was on that Tuesday afternoon that I discovered. The woman at the office, Doni Sueli, a pleasant lady in her 60s, was surprised when I requested the certificate. "Mr. Fernando, are you the father of Mariana Costa Ferreira?" I frowned. "Mariana Costa Rodriguez is my daughter." She looked at the system. Here it says, Mariana Costa Ferreira. The name change was processed in July of 2023. The surname Rodriguez was removed and replaced with Ferreira. I felt the ground disappear beneath me. "How removed?" She showed me the computer screen. Here it is. This is a declaration signed by Mariana herself with her mother's consent. The justification cites her emotional attachment to her stepfather and her desire to bear the surname of the family she lives with. I walked out of the notary's office, this document in my hand, and got into my car. I sat there, reading it over and over. She had removed my surname, erased my name from her identification, and didn't tell me. No one told me. I picked up my phone, opened WhatsApp, found her contact, and started to dial. "We need to talk." I deleted it, then typed again. "Why did you do this?" I deleted it again. In the end, I sent nothing. I simply called my lawyer, Dr. Mauricio Lopez, who had represented me during my divorce and was now handling an inheritance matter. "Mauricio, I need to speak with you urgently." I met him at his office the following day. I brought the certificate with me. He read it in silence, then shook his head. "Fernando, legally, she has the right. She's over 18. She's legally competent. If she wants to remove your surname and take her stepfather's, she can. Your permission isn't required." I clenched my fists. "And what can I do?" He sighed. "Nothing. But I can offer you some advice. You're not obligated to continue paying her anything. Alimony stops when she turns 18 or finishes her studies. You're paying because you want to. The same applies to university. You can stop whenever you wish." I left his office with that thought hammering in my head. I could stop, but what if I did? I would lose her completely. But was there anything left to lose? For a week, I pondered, mulled over and analyzed every interaction with my daughter over the past few years, and I realized nothing remained. She didn't love me. She didn't respect me. I was merely a source of funds, a cash cow, and she had just communicated that to me in the clearest way possible, by removing my surname. On the 5th of February, 2025, when her university tuition payment was due, I didn't pay. I simply didn't transfer the money. I didn't pay the alimony either. I deactivated the automatic payments and waited. 1 day passed, then 2, then 3. On the 5th day, I received a message from her. It was Friday at noon. I was in a client meeting, but I saw my phone vibrate. I opened it. Dad, tuition payment is overdue and that's it. Nothing else. Hello, nothing? How are you? Just demands for money. I stared at that message for a good 5 minutes. My fingers trembled. I typed a reply. It was short and direct. Ask Roberto Ferreira. I sent it. I blocked her number before she could reply. I blocked Patricia, turned off my phone, and returned to the meeting. My heart was pounding, but for the first time in years, I felt something different. It wasn't anger, it was relief. When I returned home that evening, I turned my phone back on. There were 23 messages, 15 from Mariana, 8 from Patricia, all in capital letters. Furious. Fernando, what do you mean you can't do this? Mariana will lose the semester. This is abandoning a child. I will sue. I read them all and didn't reply to a single one. I simply opened a bottle of wine, a Cabernet Sauvignon that had been in the cellar. I sat on the sofa and watched a Palmeiras match on ESPN. On Monday, Dr. Mauricio called me. Fernando, Patricia has contacted me. She wants to sue you for financial abandonment. I almost laughed. Mauricio, Mariana is 22. She's no longer a child, and I'm not obligated to pay for private university. She can take a leave of absence and go to work, or she can pay, since she's Ferreira now. He was silent. Yes, legally you are protected, but still expect a lawsuit. She will try to intimidate you. Let her sue, I said, and they did. 2 weeks later, I received a summons. A lawsuit for overdue child support in a significant amount. Patricia was demanding that I be obligated to pay child support of 8,000 reais plus 1,000 reais for Mariana for the entire duration of her studies, as well as arrears for the unpaid months, a total of 24,000. The hearing was scheduled for a month later. Dr. Mauricio prepared the defense, arguing that Mariana was an adult, legally competent, healthy, capable of working, that I had supported her my entire life, paid for her expensive school, her expensive party, that her decision to change my surname to her stepfather's demonstrated an emotional attachment to him. Therefore, he should be the one supporting her. He attached screenshots from her Instagram, photos at expensive restaurants, trips, parties, showing that she was not living in poverty. The hearing took place on a hot March day in the court in Campinas. I arrived in a suit at 9 in the morning. Patricia was there in heels and a business dress. Mariana, too, with a grim expression. Roberto, of course, did not show up, a coward. We entered the courtroom. The judge, Dr. Renata Fonseca, a stern woman in her 50s, called the parties. Patricia's lawyer, Dr. Helena Cunha, began to speak, painting a picture of an uncaring, absent father who abandoned his daughter at her most crucial moment. I listened in silence. When it was my turn, Dr. Mauricio presented everything. Bank statements showing all the payments I had made over the years, tens of thousands of reais, the certificate of surname change, Instagram screenshots, and the testimony of 3 witnesses he had summoned. My cousin Eduardo, who confirmed that I was always present and tried to see Mariana, but she didn't want to. Donna Sueli from the notary's office, who testified about the surname change, and Juliana, my ex-girlfriend, who recounted how hostile and disrespectful Mariana was when I tried to bring them closer. Mariana was called to testify. The judge asked, "Mariana, why did you change your surname?" She hesitated. Why? Because Roberto was always more present. He's the one who truly raised me. The judge looked at the documents. But your father paid for your education, your classes, your 15th birthday party, your university. That's documented here. Was he physically or financially absent? Mariana lowered her eyes. Financially, no, but he was never home. He was always working. The judge turned to Patricia. Do you agree that the defendant always fulfilled his financial obligations? Patricia swallowed. Yes, but nothing more. Yes or no? Yes. The judge made a note, and the surname change was Mariana's decision, made without her father's knowledge. Patricia didn't answer. Her lawyer intervened. "Your Honor, Mariana is an adult. She has rights." "I am aware of the rights," the judge interrupted. "I am merely establishing facts." At the end of the hearing, the judge delivered her verdict on the spot. Denied. She dismissed the claims for alimony, reasoning that Mariana was an adult, legally competent, healthy, and that the father had no legal obligation to pay for higher education, as it was his voluntary decision. She also stated that it was proven that the defendant had always fulfilled all legal and moral obligations during his daughter's minority, and imposed a fine of 2,000 reis for frivolous litigation on Patricia and Mariana for attempting to use the court to impose a non-existent obligation. As we left the court, Patricia approached me, furious. "You'll regret this, Fernando. You'll see when you need her and she's not there." I stopped and looked her directly in the eye. "Patricia, I will never need her, because the one who needs is the one who loves, and she made it very clear that she doesn't love me. Now, if you'll excuse me." And I walked away. Mariana stood there watching, saying nothing. I did too. In the following months, they tried everything. Patricia sent tearful messages. "Fernando, think of your daughter. She'll have to take a leave of absence." I didn't reply. Mariana also wrote, but rarely, trying to play on pity. "Dad, I know I messed everything up, but I need to finish my studies." I read these and deleted them. Roberto, imagine his audacity, called me. "So, Fernando, let's resolve this like adults." I replied, "Roberto, she's Ferreira now. That's your problem." And I hung up. From acquaintances, I learned that Roberto paid for 2 months of her tuition, but then stopped as well. His distribution company ran into financial difficulties during the pandemic, and he was in debt. The house in the gated community was put up for sale. They were moving to a smaller apartment, and Mariana had to take a leave of absence from university. She started working part-time at a beauty clinic, earning 2,500 reais a month, less than I had spent solely on her tuition. My life, strangely, improved. Without the 12,000 monthly expenses for Mariana, money remained. I bought a new Honda Civic Touring, brand new, on credit but with comfortable payments. I renovated my apartment, replaced all the furniture in the living room. I bought a 65-inch television, a beautiful Samsung QLEDs, which cost 7,900 reais. I started traveling. I visited Porto Seguro, Gramado, Florianopolis, alone, enjoying my freedom. I started going to the gym. I lost 8 kilograms, improved my health, felt good, felt free. In July of 2025, about 5 months after the hearing, I was having dinner at the Aoyama Japanese restaurant here in Campinas when I saw Mariana. She was with a friend, sitting at the other end of the hall. She also noticed me. We looked at each other for a few seconds. She stood up hesitantly and approached my table. "Hi, Dad." I finished the sushi I was eating. "Hi." She looked nervous. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, and you?" "I'm fine. I'm working now. I took a leave of absence for a while." I nodded. "Good." An awkward silence fell. "Dad, I wanted to talk to you." "Really? We could meet for coffee or lunch?" "I don't know." I picked up a napkin and wiped my mouth. "Mariana, I have nothing to talk to you about." Her eyes widened. "But Dad, you made it clear what I meant to you when you took my surname and took his." "I respect your choice, but choices have consequences. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm having dinner." She turned pale. "Dad, please." I was bewildered. "Goodbye, Mariana." I returned to my meal. She stood there for a few more seconds, then turned and left. A few days later, I received a long message from her. She wrote that she had been immature, that her mother had manipulated her, that Roberto had promised so much and delivered nothing, that she now saw who her real father was, that she wanted a chance to fix everything, that she loved me. I read it and didn't reply because words are easy. Character is shown through actions, and her actions over 22 years showed that I was expendable to her. Today, in February of 2026, I am well, more than well. I am at peace with myself. I finalized my mother's inheritance case, sold her apartment for 420,000 reais, and bought a plot of land in Lambari, a beautiful town nearby where I plan to build a country house for my retirement. I am dating again. Her name is Carla. She is 43 years old. She is an architect, the mother of 2 grown and independent children. We get along well. She respects me, values me, and I reciprocate. Mariana remains blocked. Patricia, too. I don't know how they are doing, and frankly, I no longer care. Rumors are that they moved out of the gated community, that Roberto owes suppliers, that Mariana is trying to save money to return to university but can't. I feel no pity. I feel indifference, and it's liberating. I understood that fatherly love has a limit. It must have one, because love without respect is humiliation. And I endured humiliation for years, thinking I was a good father. But being a good father isn't about paying for everything. It's about instilling values. And the value I should have instilled in Mariana from the beginning is that dignity is not for sale, that loyalty is important, that family is those who are by your side in difficult moments, not just at expensive dinners and on trips. If you are going through something similar, if you are a father or mother and feel you are being used, exploited, that your own children do not respect you, I will tell you, set boundaries. It's not selfishness, it's emotional survival. You don't owe your entire life to anyone, not even your children, especially if those children treat you like a love ATM. Offer support, provide education, but demand respect. And if you don't receive it, distance yourself. Does it hurt? It hurts a lot, but it hurts less than living devalued. Write below which city you are listening from. If you have experienced something similar, share it. Let's create a support chain, because I know many suffer in silence, thinking they have to tolerate disrespect from their children. No, you don't. If this story has touched you in any way, give it a like. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with that friend you know who is going through something similar. Sometimes we need to hear another person's story to find the courage to change our own. And remember, dignity is not negotiable. Respect is not optional. And no surname, no money, no university is worth more than your peace of mind. Today, I sleep peacefully. I owe no one anything. I carry no guilt. I did everything I could as a father. And if it wasn't enough, that's not my problem. Hugs to everyone who is listening. And remember, you deserve to be valued. You deserve respect. And if you are not receiving it from those you love, perhaps it's time to love yourself first. God bless you, and until next time,